As of 2018, human trafficking is a $150 billion industry, and there are an estimated 40.3 million victims globally. Of these 40.3 million, 81% are employed in forced labor, 25% are children, and 75% are women or girls. The most unsettling thing about these statistics is that they come from our own backyard. In the United States alone, over 40,000 calls have been made to the human trafficking hotline, and of these 40,000, nearly 2,000 were made in Florida, 604 being made within the past year alone. South Florida is one of the biggest industries for human trafficking due to its dense population and popularity amongst Latin American refugees, as demonstrated by this next story. Rosa Castillo was 12 years old when she was left in the care of her grandparents, as her parents fled Nicaragua to seek refuge in Florida. In order to be reunited with her family, Castillo's parents paid a coyote $6,000 to bring her safely to the U.S. However, when she arrived, she was anything but reunited with them. The coyote her family paid turned out to be a human trafficker and sold her into this abominable industry. For 14 years, Rosa was sold as merchandise in America in the land of justice and freedom, and nobody did anything to help, as she was quoted saying. For 18 hours a day, Rosa was forced to work picking crops for multinational produce companies, and by night was forced into prostitution. After 14 years of forced labor, Rosa was rescued and taken out of this horrible situation. A harrowing story from our backyard, which highlights an extremely important myth about human trafficking, which needs dispelling. The idea that human trafficking only feeds into the industry of sex is misinformed. In Immokalee, Florida, there are an estimated 12,500 to 17,500 undocumented immigrants working the thousands of acres of agricultural fields day in and day out. Living in constant fear of deportation, these immigrants speak out to none and ask for no aid. Human traffickers and big agricultural companies feed on the fears of these people. They offer them astronomically low pays, use fear tactics to antagonize the workers into subordination, and more. Unable to speak out for fear of deportation, these immigrants have no rights and become indentured slaves to these corporations and human traffickers. The ability for companies to utilize cheap labor allows them to also use inexpensive high-yield farming techniques that leave the soil barren and devoid of nutrients after several harvests. These workers have no rights, and being taken out of the world of human trafficking would require big companies to begin utilizing different techniques in harvesting and maintaining their products. Most undocumented workers are sprayed with toxic pesticides by crop dusters overhead while working in the fields. This practice allows for large agricultural companies to perform at peak efficiency, as the harvesting never needs to stop, as it does when the workers are protected by the law. In the US, companies are required to stop harvesters from working for X amount of time after pesticides have been sprayed, but when the workers are in constant fear, who will blow the whistle? This necessity for downtime between pesticide sprays and harvesting leads companies to purchase more expensive and effective pesticides, which are less toxic to the harvesters, which allows for less downtime and more efficiency, along with safety for the workers. Human trafficking also directly impacts many other industries such as textiles, jewelry, and chocolate. Believe it or not, many of the goods conceived from human trafficking we consume ourselves in the US. For example, most of the chocolate industry runs rampant with forced labor and human trafficking. Another example is the sneaker industry forcing underage children to work exorbitant hours in a claustrophobic room to make pennies on the dollar. In order to combat these unethical practices, one can be sure to buy fair or buy products which are labeled as fair trade. These ensure that the companies which you are purchasing the products from promote a living wage to its employees and the farmers or companies they purchase the raw products from. If you see anything suspicious or have anyone reach out to you for help with human trafficking, call 911 in case of an emergency, or call 1-888-373-7888.